I never thought silence could be a weapon until the day my family tried to humiliate me at 30,000 feet. My phone buzzed as I approached the gate at LAX. I already knew who it was before I looked at the screen. My mother had been texting non-stop since I'd told her about the conference. 3 days of leadership training in Austin, all expenses paid by the company. Business class seats. A hotel with those fancy bathrobes. The kind of opportunity I'd worked 6 years to earn. "Don't get too comfortable up there," the text read. "People like us don't belong in business class." People like us. She meant me. Never my sister Rebecca, who'd married a dental equipment salesman and spent her days posting Bible verses on Facebook between MLM pitches. Rebecca belonged anywhere she wanted, according to Mom. I was the one who'd always been reaching above my station. I didn't respond. I'd learned that lesson at 17 when I'd won a scholarship to USC, and Mom spent the entire summer before I left telling me I'd probably flunk out by Christmas. I graduated summa cum laude. She never mentioned it again. The gate agent smiled as I handed over my boarding pass. She scanned it, then her smile flickered. Just for a second, but I caught it. I've spent enough years reading people's faces in conference rooms to know when something's wrong. "Miss Porter," she said, her voice suddenly careful, "I'm going to need you to step aside for just a moment." The businessman behind me sighed loudly. I felt my face heat up, but I moved to the side of the counter. The agent typed something, frowned, typed more. Then she picked up the phone. "Yes, I have a passenger here," she said quietly, but not quietly enough. "The seat was changed this morning. Emergency downgrade, apparently. Refund processed to a different card." My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone and opened the airline app. My seat assignment had vanished. In its place, 42E. Middle seat, last row, right in front of the bathrooms. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Rebecca. "Mom said you'd understand. Jason really needs this opportunity. He's been struggling since he lost that job." Jason, Rebecca's husband. The one who'd been between opportunities for 9 months while my sister posted inspirational quotes about God's timing. I looked up at the agent. "Someone changed my seat assignment." "Yes, ma'am. This morning around 6 a.m. The business class seat was reassigned and a refund was issued to the card ending in 4,739. I didn't own a card ending in 4,739, but I knew who did. My mother had gotten that card last year, right around the time she'd asked me to put her down as an emergency contact on all my accounts. "Just in case something happens to you, honey. I should be able to help." The agent's expression shifted to something like pity. "The person who called said it was an emergency family situation, that you needed the cash more than the flight comfort. Our representative should have verified, but they didn't," I finished. My voice came out flat, calm. I wasn't going to give anyone here a scene to remember. I'd been raised to never make a scene, to never draw attention, to always be grateful for whatever scraps I was given. "It's fine, I'll take 42E. "I'm so sorry, Miss Porter. This shouldn't have happened. I'm going to file a report and will—" "It's fine," I repeated. "Really?" I took my new boarding pass and walked toward the gate. My phone buzzed again. "Mom, this time. Rebecca told me you're upset. You should be happy to help family. That's what sisters do. Jason is going to make such great connections at this conference." This conference. My conference. The one I'd been nominated for by my director after I'd led the product launch that brought in $8 million in new revenue. The conference where I was supposed to be meeting the VP of Innovation from our Seattle office, the one who'd specifically asked to have dinner with me to discuss expansion opportunities. I stopped walking. The terminal lights felt too bright. Around me, travelers rushed past with their rolling bags and their Starbucks cups and their normal families who didn't steal business class seats. My phone buzzed again. Jason this time. "Hey sis, in the lounge now. This scotch is amazing. Don't worry, I'll represent the family well." Represent the family. I'd been representing this family since I was 12 years old, wearing thrift store clothes to school while Rebecca got the new outfits for church, babysitting every weekend while Rebecca went to youth group socials, taking out student loans for college while Rebecca got help with her community college tuition because she's going to be a wife and mother and you're so smart you'll figure it out. I'd figured it out. I'd figured out how to work full-time while finishing my degree, how to climb from an entry-level support role to senior product manager, how to smile at family dinners while Rebecca showed off her new Coach purse, and Mom praised Jason's entrepreneurial spirit between his failed ventures. I opened my text thread with my director, Sarah Chen. She was flying in from San Francisco, different airline, arriving this afternoon. I started typing, then stopped. What was I going to say? My family stole my seat felt insane. Even if it was true. The gate agent called for business class boarding. I watched a stream of travelers head down the jetway. Somewhere in that line was Jason, probably already planning how he'd spin his success story to anyone who'd listen. He was good at that. He'd convinced Rebecca's entire church that his cryptocurrency venture was just ahead of its time, convinced my mother that he just needed one good connection to turn everything around. I boarded in Group 6. The flight attendant smiled sympathetically as I squeezed past 2 passengers to get to 42E. The man in the aisle seat didn't stand up, just angled his knees slightly. The woman at the window was already asleep, or pretending to be. I shoved my bag into the overhead bin and sat down. The seat didn't recline, I knew that already. The bathrooms were going to create a parade of humanity past my shoulder for the next 3.5 hours. The smell of blue toilet chemical would probably give me a headache. My phone buzzed. Sarah, just landed early. Weather was good. Got upgraded to first class, can you believe it? Worked out great because guess who was on my flight? David Morrison from the Seattle office. We had the best conversation about the expansion project. He's very impressed with your work, Emily. Said he's looking forward to dinner tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. The dinner I'd been preparing for all month. I'd researched David Morrison's entire career, studied the Seattle market, prepared questions about their team structure. This dinner was supposed to be the conversation that changed my trajectory. I typed back, "That's wonderful. See you at the hotel." The plane pushed back from the gate. I closed my eyes and tried to ignore the man next to me, whose elbow was occupying a good third of my armrest. Tried not to think about Jason up in business class, probably telling anyone who'd listen that he worked in tech and leaving out the part where he hadn't held a job in 9 months. We took off. The seatbelt sign turned off. The parade to the bathroom started immediately. I pulled out my laptop, trying to work, but the tray table was so close to my chest I could barely type. The man next to me ordered 3 tiny bottles of whiskey and proceeded to tell the flight attendant about his boat. 2 hours in, my phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "Mom wants to know if you're going to apologize to Jason. He said you gave him dirty looks at the airport." I hadn't seen Jason at the airport. He'd been in the business class lounge drinking amazing scotch. But that was the thing about my family. The truth was, whatever story served them best in the moment. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop again and pulled up the airline's customer service portal. I filed a complaint, careful and detailed. Explained that someone had impersonated me to change my reservation. Included my credit card statements showing I'd never authorized any refund. Attached screenshots of the text messages from Jason and Rebecca showing they'd known about the seat change before I did. Then I opened my email and sent a message to Sarah. "Something happened with my flight that I need to brief you on before the conference. It's a family matter, but it may impact our schedule. Would you have 15 minutes this evening? Professional. Factual. No drama." The man next to me ordered another whiskey. The woman by the window woke up and immediately reclined her seat, which pushed directly into the knees of the person behind her. A baby started crying 3 rows up. The bathroom door kept slamming. My phone buzzed. "Mom, Rebecca is very hurt that you won't respond. After everything we've done for you." Everything they'd done for me. I stared at that message for a long time. Everything like what? Like reminding me constantly that I was difficult, ungrateful, too ambitious? Like telling me my achievements didn't count because I'd had to work for them instead of having them handed to me? Like teaching me that my job was to make things easier for Rebecca, for Jason, for everyone except myself? I turned off my phone. The rest of the flight passed in a blur of elbow jabs and bathroom traffic. When we finally landed in Austin, I waited until almost everyone had deplaned. No point rushing. I grabbed my bag and headed up the jetway, my back already aching from 3.5 hours in that seat. I was halfway through the terminal when I heard my name. "Emily, Emily Porter." I turned. David Morrison was walking toward me, Sarah Chen beside him. He was tall, silver-haired, with the kind of easy smile that comes from success. Sarah looked confused. "I thought you were on our flight," Sarah said. "Weren't you supposed to be in business class?" Before I could answer, I heard another voice. "Excuse me! Hey, excuse me!" Jason was speed-walking toward us, his face flushed, his button-down shirt untucked. He was carrying a leather laptop bag I'd never seen before. Probably Rebecca's latest gift, purchased with money they didn't have. "I think you dropped something back there," he said, slightly out of breath. Then he saw me and stopped. His expression shifted from helpful stranger to something I couldn't quite read. "Oh, Emily, hi. You two know each other?" David asked, looking between us. "He's my brother-in-law," I said carefully. "Jason, this is David Morrison and Sarah Chen from my company." Jason's face lit up. This was his moment, his chance. I could see him calculating it in real time. "No kidding. Small world." He stuck out his hand. "Jason Brennan. I'm actually in tech too. Well, fintech. Blockchain, mostly. I was just at a conference in San Jose last week, and—" "Were you on our flight?" Sarah interrupted, her voice suddenly sharp. "From LAX? Business class?" "Yeah, actually. Upgraded at the last minute. Lucky break." He laughed, but something in Sarah's expression made it come out nervous. "Why?" "Because that's where Emily was supposed to be sitting," Sarah said. She wasn't smiling anymore. "I booked her ticket myself. Business class, window seat, company policy for conferences." The color drained from Jason's face. I don't." "Interesting," David said. His voice was pleasant, but his eyes had gone cold. I'd seen him in exactly one video conference before this, but I recognized the expression. It was the same look he got when someone tried to BS him about project timelines. "So you upgraded at the last minute from a different flight? Or you upgraded on the same flight?" Jason looked at me. Can we talk for a second?" "I think we're talking right now," I said. My voice was still calm, still level. "How exactly did you get that seat, Jason?" "Your mom said you didn't mind. She said you offered because I needed it more for networking, and I thought—" "My mother called the airline," I said clearly, "impersonated me, downgraded my ticket, and refunded the difference to her own credit card, then gave you my seat. Is that what happened?" Sarah's mouth fell open. David's expression went from cold to absolutely glacial. "That's not your making it sound," Jason stammered. "It was a family thing. Your mom said you'd understand. She said you always do this, that you make everything about you." "I'm going to stop you right there," David said. His voice could have cut glass. "Did you just accuse Emily of making this about herself while simultaneously admitting you took her business class seat under false pretenses?" "I didn't know it was false pretenses," her mom said. "Her mom committed fraud," Sarah said flatly. "She impersonated a passenger, changed a corporate booking without authorization, and processed an unauthorized refund. That's actually several crimes. But beyond that," she turned to look at Jason, "you showed up at this conference under false pretenses. Who did you tell people you were? What company did you say you worked for?" Jason's face went red. "I didn't say I worked anywhere specifically. I just networked. That's not illegal." "Did you use the business class lounge?" David asked. "Did you take beverages, food, amenities that were intended for paying business class passengers?" This is ridiculous. You're ganging up on me because Emily's trying to—" "I'm asking because I'm genuinely curious about the scope of this," David interrupted. "Because from where I'm standing, you committed theft of services at minimum. You benefited from corporate fraud. And you did it by taking an opportunity away from one of my most valuable team members." He paused. "Emily was coming to this conference because I personally requested her presence. We were going to discuss her leading our new expansion team. But instead of arriving rested and ready to work, she spent 3.5 hours in a middle seat at the back of the plane while you drank scotch you didn't pay for and networked with people under false pretenses." The terminal had gone quiet around us, or maybe it just felt that way. Other travelers were flowing past, but they seemed far away, unreal. Jason's mouth opened and closed. "I'm going to call Rebecca," he finally said. "You're all being really unfair to me right now." "Please do call her," Sarah said. "And while you're at it, you might want to tell her that I'm filing a report with the airline about this fraud. They'll probably want to interview your mother-in-law. And depending on what the company's legal team says, we may be filing charges. Charges? For a seat upgrade? You can't be serious. For fraud, identity theft, and theft of services, Sarah said. I'm extremely serious. Jason looked at me. Come on. Tell them this is crazy. We're family. I thought about all the times I'd heard that word. Family. Usually right before I was expected to give something up. Family meant Rebecca got new clothes while I wore hand-me-downs. Family meant I babysat every weekend. Family meant I paid for Mom's car repair while Rebecca got help with her wedding costs. Family meant making myself smaller so everyone else could feel bigger. You're right, I said quietly. We are family. That's why I thought I could trust my mom when she asked to be my emergency contact. That's why I didn't think twice about sharing my booking reference when she asked how my trip planning was going. That's why I assumed my sister would be happy for me when I got this opportunity, instead of immediately thinking about how her husband could benefit from it. I'm not finished, I said. You want to talk about family? Real family supports each other. Real family celebrates successes instead of stealing them. Real family doesn't commit crimes against each other and then act like the victim when they get caught. Jason's face was red now, blotchy with anger or shame or both. You've always thought you were better than us, ever since you went to that fancy college. The fancy college I paid for myself while working 2 jobs, I said, while Rebecca went to community college on Mom's dime. But you're right, I do think I'm better than someone who steals from family and calls it networking. Sarah, David said, turning slightly away from Jason like he'd ceased to exist. Why don't we get Emily checked into the hotel? She's had a long day. We can deal with the corporate aspects of this tomorrow. Agreed, Sarah said. Then she looked at Jason. You need to leave this terminal now. If I see you at any conference events this week, I'll have security remove you. Are we clear? Jason looked like he wanted to argue. Then he looked at David's face, at Sarah's expression, at me standing silent between them. He turned and walked away without another word. We stood there for a moment. Travelers flowed around us. Someone's bag rolled over my foot. The PA system announced a gate change. I'm sorry, I finally said. I should have said something earlier. I should have. You have nothing to apologize for, David said firmly. Nothing. What happened to you was theft. What almost happened, you losing this opportunity because someone sabotaged you, that's unconscionable. He paused. I want you to know that this doesn't change anything about why I wanted you here. If anything, the way you handled this just now, staying professional under circumstances that would make most people lose it, that tells me everything I need to know about your judgment. Sarah nodded. We're still having that dinner tomorrow. We're still talking about the expansion team. And I'm going to make sure the company knows exactly what happened here and why it can never happen again. Thank you, I said. My voice came out smaller than I meant it to. Come on, Sarah said, gentler now. Let's get you to the hotel. You can decompress, take a bath, order room service on the company card. Tomorrow we'll talk about Seattle. Seattle. The promotion. The expansion team. Everything I'd been working toward. It was still there, still happening. My family had tried to take it from me, and they'd failed. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't look at it. I knew it would be Mom, or Rebecca, or maybe both, telling me I'd embarrassed them, telling me I'd made a scene, telling me I was selfish, ungrateful, too big for my britches. They were wrong. I wasn't too big. I was exactly the right size. I'd just been trying to fit into their too small box for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. We walked through the terminal together, the 3 of us. Past the restaurants and the shops and the families hugging at arrivals. My bag felt lighter somehow, or maybe I just felt stronger. Tomorrow I'd deal with the airline complaint, with whatever legal steps needed to happen, with setting boundaries I should have set years ago. Tomorrow I'd have dinner with David Morrison and talk about leading a team in Seattle, about building something new, about taking everything I'd learned from fighting to be seen and using it to make space for others. Tonight, I was going to order the most expensive thing on the room service menu, take the longest bath of my life, and block 3 phone numbers. And I was going to sleep like someone who'd finally learned that the only approval I needed was my own.